And now let's cross to London for a catch-up on UK and Euro markets. And I'm joined by David Buik from BGC Partners. David, welcome to the programme.
Greetings to you, Tiki.
Well, let me start with Britain. And I see Lloyds Bank has finally sold those 632 Black Horse branches. Bit of a gift for the co-op.
Well, I think it was absolutely Christmas come early. I mean, these 632 branches were priced at around £1.5 billion, probably about 2 years ago, through an edict from the European Union due to the fact that there'd been a bailout, that Lloyds had to lighten up its load. And we thought 632 branches to go for £1.5 billion was a pretty reasonable price. And we had NBNK, we had Virgin Money, as well as the co-op as potential bidders. There was some talk a few weeks ago that perhaps the co-op didn't quite have the quality of management required to get through the regulators, but it seems that heads of agreement have been signed. But I hasten to add that the FSA has not officially stamped it yet, but I think they will be okay, for 300 million down and 450 million over the next 15. I mean, Dick Turpin would have been proud of this. They have robbed Lloyds blind. More to the point, the taxpayer has had a really thin end of the wedge. Lloyds Bank shares are down, ticking down to about 29 pence. It's got to go back to 70 for the taxpayer to break even.
Well, I can see the disappointment on your face there, David. Let me move on to another unpleasant subject, the LIBOR scandal. The US Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner now says we're not going to leave reform completely to the British, and that's been interpreted as Geithner not actually trusting Mervyn King, the governor of the Bank of England, to do this reform.
Well, I think the breakdown in the level of communication was quite frightening for Dr. King, or Sir Mervyn King, as I should call him, to be absolutely adamant that he only knew about it 2.5 weeks ago, when this has been under investigation since 2006, makes the mind boggle. But I don't think, without trying to play the political game too hard, the level of communication 5 or 6 years ago between the FSA, which is the official regulator, and the Bank of England, is all that it might have been. But where I think is completely unacceptable is the fact that the British Bankers Association, which frankly, Tiki, is a trade association, is given the responsibility of pricing something around $560 trillion worth of loans, is just nonsense. Particularly, the world at large was concerned about LIBOR being moribund and an inexact science 5 or 6 years ago.
Now, I gather, the investigations spread to Euribor, the European interest rate, and Barclays is in the frame there too.
Yes, as I understand it, again, we're still down into the rumour, but such august names as SocGen and Credit Agricole and others are being mentioned in dispatches, and Deutsche Bank as well. I'm surprised that at the end of the day, in 3 months' time, if it is as few banks as that, because quite frankly, as I explained, LIBOR has been an inexact science for so many years, it's embarrassing, and it wouldn't surprise me to see other people named. I'm not saying they're guilty of manipulation, but it's not surprising that there will be a steward's inquiry for all the banks over the nature of LIBOR.
Briefly, David, I see Europe more generally. Sicily is now in crisis situation.
Well, once you see the yield on 10-year bonds for Italy going above the 6% level, which it is with some comfort now, you have to have some cause for concern. Despite Mario Monti really giving it his best shot to try and introduce some austerity measures, there is a huge amount of work to do. And again, it's the lack of coordinated leadership from the European Union, which seems happy to reel from one crisis to another, that exacerbates the situation.
David, I'm going to find something more upbeat to talk to you about next week. Thank you so much for joining us, David Buik.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? God bless you. Take care.
All right.